Ethan had imagined this cul-de-sac as an oasis, a quiet place where the hum of lawnmowers and the occasional bark of a neighbor's dog would be the loudest interruptions in his life. Freshly divorced, he unpacked his boxes with careful precision, telling himself that solitude would soothe the lingering ache of betrayal. The grass was unnaturally green, the sidewalks spotless, and the houses, identical in their pastel perfection, seemed to glare at him with silent judgment. Yet, by the end of the first week, he realized peace was only an illusion. It started with the trash can. On Tuesday morning, Ethan found it toppled over, garbage spilling like confetti across the driveway. A neatly folded note was pinned to the lid, "Please follow HOA guidelines. Karen." Karen, the self-appointed enforcer of suburban order, whose glare could pierce through the thickest walls of composure. He remembered the first meeting, her voice sharp, laughter never reaching her eyes. "Mr. Spencer, your mailbox is crooked," she had said, tilting her head as if she were studying a specimen. "It needs to be straightened by Friday, or we'll issue a citation." Her calm authority was suffocating, a slow drip of water eroding his patience. Ethan shook his head, kneeling to right the trash can again. He could hear the faint echo of her stilettos against the concrete, a rhythmic tapping that now haunted the corners of his apartment. Every evening, after the sun sank behind the manicured hedges, he would find small tokens of her presence, a stray leaflet, a note folded in origami, a random knock at the door. The ordinary became sinister. By Friday, Ethan's frustration had hardened into something colder, sharper. He positioned a small camera, inconspicuous, beside the trash can. The street was quiet, save for the flickering of the street lamp above. Leaning against the wall, he muttered to himself, voice low, tense, almost thrilled, "Let's see you this time." And for the first time since moving in, he felt a pulse of power. The night swallowed the cul-de-sac whole, leaving Ethan alone with his thoughts, his device, and the quiet anticipation of what was coming next. Ethan's apartment had become a shrine to the trash can. The small camera he'd installed glowed softly, a silent witness to the suburban theater outside. Night after night, he watched, eyes strained, coffee cup in hand, willing the universe to reveal the culprit. Then, at precisely 2:37 a.m., the footage caught her, Karen, hood pulled low over her face, striding deliberately down the driveway. She reached the trash can, tipped it with a casual flourish, and paused, smiling directly into the camera. Ethan's pulse raced, but there was something else, a shadow lingering behind her, too human to dismiss, yet impossible to identify. He froze the frame. The figure was always just out of focus, hovering, waiting, watching. His mind raced through every possibility, a neighbor, a friend of hers, or something far stranger. Sleep abandoned him. Hours slipped into obsession. He replayed the footage over and over, noting the tiniest gestures, a twitch of her fingers, the way her hood fell, the subtle sway of the shadow. Every knock he'd heard on his door, every note, every small, irritating intrusion, everything pointed to her, but now doubt wormed its way into his thoughts. Was he imagining the shadow? The next day, he confronted her at the edge of the cul-de-sac, hands trembling, the tablet still warm with the evidence. "You think I'm scared of your little toys?" she asked, voice smooth, almost musical, her eyes glinting with a cruel amusement. "You really shouldn't let your imagination run wild, Mr. Spencer." Her denial was ice in his veins. She turned, walking away with the confidence of someone who knew no consequences could touch her. Ethan's hands clenched the tablet until it threatened to crack under the pressure. Later, as dusk bled into night, Ethan discovered his front window had been cracked, a thin spiderweb line stretching across the glass. Beneath it, on the porch, lay a printed still frame from the video. Karen, hooded, tipping the trash can, shadow faintly behind her. No note, no message, just the image, silent and accusing. The cul-de-sac was quiet again, but the silence felt heavier, as though it carried a warning. Ethan's thoughts spiraled, the line between reality and obsession blurring, and the mechanical hum of the camera waiting in the darkness reminded him. Tonight, the game had changed. The garage smelled of oil, metal, and anticipation. Ethan had transformed it into a workshop, every surface cluttered with tools, wires, and hydraulic components. He spoke to no one, not even himself, except in murmurs of instruction. Each piece of the trash can was carefully calibrated. Sensors that detected movement, locks that could only be released remotely, and a reinforced lid that made it heavier than any ordinary container. It wasn't just a trash can anymore, It was a statement. As he worked, he imagined Karen tipping it over one final time, only to meet resistance, a calculated shock to her sense of control. Justice, in his mind, had taken a mechanical form. Neighbors began giving him wider berths on the street, crossing over to avoid the garage light flickering at all hours. Their whispers didn't matter. They couldn't understand the necessity of what he was doing. He had become something other than Ethan Spencer, the quiet, divorced software engineer. The line between victim and perpetrator blurred with every wire soldered, every hydraulic piston tested. The thrill of control mingled with the memory of her smile in the footage, and for the first time in years, he felt alive. Then, one evening, Karen disappeared. No screams, no notes, just a void in the rhythm of the cul-de-sac. When the police arrived, Ethan greeted them with calm detachment, guiding their gaze to the sealed trash can. "It's just a trash can, officer. People throw things away," he said, voice level, eyes steady, a faint smirk curling the corner of his mouth. They asked questions about her last known whereabouts. Ethan hesitated only a second. "I saw her near the property line," he admitted. Beyond that, he said nothing. The investigators left with more uncertainty than answers. Inside the garage, the soft hum of hydraulics echoed. Light reflected off the polished metal of the trash can. In it, Ethan sometimes thought he could see her face flicker, smiling, accusing, or perhaps imagining him in turn. He didn't care. The machine was ready, and in the quiet pulse of its mechanisms, he felt the satisfaction of a long-awaited reckoning. As night descended, he stepped back from his creation. The street outside was silent, the shadows long and waiting. The game had shifted entirely, and Ethan was no longer just a player. He was the arbiter. The community center hummed with murmurs and nervous energy. HOA members clustered in small, tight groups, their eyes darting toward Ethan as he entered, calm and composed. He moved past them with a neutral nod, shoulders squared, the model neighbor again, polished, unassuming, untouchable. Karen's absence hung in the room like a shadow, but no one dared speak her name aloud. It felt dangerous, as though naming her might summon the chaos she left behind. As the meeting began, the president rattled off the new trash pickup schedule, voice crisp, rehearsed. Ethan listened without emotion, noting the way his neighbors flinched when the calendar was posted on the wall. He pictured Karen's familiar glare, the sharp angles of her jaw, the smug authority she wielded over this suburban microcosm. It had shifted now, completely, subtly, in ways none of them could see. "Did anyone hear from her?" whispered a neighbor, glancing nervously around. "Not a word," another replied. "Vanished without a trace." Ethan's lips curved into the faintest smile. He leaned back in his chair, hands folded, quiet. In the polished chrome of the new trash can stationed outside the community hall, sunlight glinted off its smooth surface. Mechanical precision gleamed, untouched by doubt or oversight. Later that morning, the familiar rumble of the garbage truck rolled down the cul-de-sac. Ethan stepped onto the porch, watching as the arm descended, clamping onto his trash can. A faint thud echoed, soft, metallic, deliberate. He didn't flinch. His expression remained unreadable, almost serene. Inside, hidden from the world, something shifted and clinked, a ring, engraved with the HOA insignia, sliding against metal. The truck drove away, leaving the street silent, yet the weight of what had passed lingered. Ethan exhaled slowly, eyes scanning the manicured lawns, the clean sidewalks, the empty spaces where Karen's shadow had once loomed. Justice, madness, or vengeance, it was impossible to tell which had prevailed. And in the quiet after the hum of the truck, Ethan simply stood, detached, unshaken, as though the neighborhood itself were holding its breath, waiting for the next move in a game no one else could see.